we want to start right there. But before any of this, just my presentation, my name is Philip Sang, I'm from Europe. Maybe you can hear my European accent. So my background is I studied first optics, and then I went to water, and from water to life energy. And aside from that, the fusion from water to life energy led me to magic and occult schools. And as you would see, all of this ties together at one point. We have a merging when we talk about the etheric element between science, spirituality, religion, all of it, the top of the mountain, let's call it like that. So, okay, we will start with this graphic. So you see this graphic, the intersection of the two. You know it probably, let's call it of the flow of life and other mechanics. But we break it down just to be simple and to understand what we are talking about, because this little mechanic in the middle is pretty much the key of what we are talking here today, because that is the middle vortex, the implosion and the explosion at the same time. But we start in the beginning. So we have on the left side for me here now is left, we have the female aspect. Female aspect is an implosion. It's like the creation in the womb of the mother, an implosive process, if you want. And the right side is the male aspect, the explosive aspect. I think we all know why we say it's explosive aspect. So just to visualize this a bit and not just theorize it, if we would have a coin, this would be our left coin. So you see it's pretty wide in the middle, and it goes denser, smaller to the outside. That is the basic of the process of the implosion. I mean, if you have like a TV what implodes, it will still make a large impact, but impact is all concentrated on one point. That is the main difference between implosion and explosion. Here again, the explosion goes from the center, small, really dense, to outside. Explosion is the technology we use in our days. The cars, you came all here, explosive. All our technologies are basically based on explosion. And if we go into etheric science, this is the implosion and the explosion in one. That is what we have in our middle, what we call chakras, latex tube, or however you like to call it. I'm sure you came across these elements, chakras probably everybody knows. So can I have the next image please? Okay, so we talk about the Hermetic school, which is my background. The Hermetic school is the old Egyptian school. I'm not sure if anybody heard about it so far. It is also taught, or Hermes Trismegistus who gave us this. We have the legends of the Smaragd fables. So it is basically not as the other magics. I'm not saying better or worse, but the basic is that it's built up on the building block of this universe. So we talk about the elements, the different elements, the 5 elements. So we will explore the ether element and the etheric principle today. So the other elements, just to go over quickly, the fire, air, water, earth, and then the 5th element, ether. So here's the definition what Franz Barton gave us. Franz Barton was one of the most successful adepts of the Hermetic school of 20th century. So he said, when describing the elements, I have mentioned several times that they originate from the etheric principle, which means that all the other elements come out of the ether. So first the water, and then all the other elements have the base in the ether. We will also see how scientifically the ether creates the water and so forth. So therefore, the etheric principle is the highest, the mightiest, the most unimaginable, the primordial existence, the original cause of all things and everything created. It is the causal sphere, therefore the Akasha is spaceless and timeless, it is uncreated. That is, the spaceless and the timeless is pretty important. We will see why later on. The timeless aspect is something what we need first to understand, because we live in time and we have no idea what it means to live out of time. We don't know what infinite means. Our human brains are just structured to not understand this, and we live in a society where it is really, really mechanical. We work with numbers and everything is mechanical, but this work we go in is not mechanical at all. And it requires a different form of thinking to feel it, not understand it. Because your logical brain will never understand it. So, Akasha, people heard it is also what you can tap in to get knowledge. A big library where you can meditate or whatever, but you can tap into it. Incomprehensible and indefinable, what I just said. The different religions call it God. We leave that standing there. We will not talk too much about religions today. It is the fifth element, the primordial energy. It is that which created everything and keeps everything in equilibrium. It is the source and purity of all thoughts and ideas. It is the causal world in which everything created maintains itself, beginning with the highest of spheres downwards to the lowest. It is the quintessence of the alchemist. It is the all in all. Okay, so that's a pretty powerful definition what we hear here, and it encompasses a lot. And when we talk about Ether and Kabbalah, we go to the alchemy. And we will go in the second part in the old alchemy of the Zaptipi, which is the old Egyptian alchemy, 36,500 for 400 years ago. That was, and exactly at that time, actually, the Orion's belt was aligned to the three pyramids in Egypt, and we had it recently again. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2016, we had the alignment again. And what does that mean? We will see soon. Okay, can I get the next image, please? Okay, so here we see a bunch of words. If you look at it, I'm not sure how much you can see here. My wife Betty did fantastic graphics. But all of these words mean the same. Some are from spiritual backgrounds like the prana of the Hindu, the chi, the Jesod in the Kabbalah. Others are of scientific background, especially Dr. Wilhelm Reich, we will discover more soon. He called it orgon, because he was in main range orgon. That's just the name he chose. But really stick to ether for today to not confuse it too much. Okay? So, what does this tell us? It was present all around the world, the knowledge of the life energy, and still we don't know a lot about it today, and we don't use it. And that is what leads us to why don't we use it and when do we use it. So the when is, can I get the next image? The when is actually the now. So this is the seal, the original seal of the tomb of Tutankhamun, probably the most beautiful treasures found in old Egypt. That was really the tomb. I think it was opened 1902. So you can see it's a seal, it's just a nodding. Of course they had other security mechanisms, the old Egyptians, for these tombs, but that is just, we have the etheric seal what broke. That means the etheric knowledge will come back to us. That means we will, as a society, change, we will technologically change, the technology will influence our society, and we will be able to do more again with our bodies soon. So why is this etheric seal broken? That is now the big question, and that's the next image, please. So, okay, this is, let's call it our galaxy. We don't know how right this image is now, or anything what NASA shows us. We don't want to discuss about this, but we know one thing for sure, that is that the ether and a lot of other forces work in vortex mechanics. If we look at our weather, all the vortexes, water, if you see a river swirling, vortexes. Vortex is one of the most powerful and necessary forces in in our life. It is essential to life, the vortex. So, okay, we see again, or we don't. This trail in the middle, what we see here, the center of this galaxy, is the same as I explained just the middle part, the chakras, for the galaxy. Because in Hermetics we have as above, so below, which means that you are the same as the Earth in the energetic system, the galaxy is the same again. So it is like everything fits into each other and it's always the same. So if you have problems to understand or believe that this is correct, you can always look at it at a smaller level and you will be able to verify if somebody tells you the right thing or not. I could not debunk this Hermetic axiom, what they call a principle, in anything, and I'm a pretty close observer. So we have the middle vortex here, and left and right again. So what happens is that our arm of the galaxy now passed this point. That is what 2012 was. We were here, in this vortex. And now we go from the right side, from the male principle to the female principle. And that means that the ether element is readily available to us and activation happens in this, what we call the middle. We have another reason why a lot is happening here, because what we talk now is astrology, but on galactic or universal level, which has nothing to do with the astrology what you can usually get. Is that our galaxy is about to join the concert of 32 other galaxies, what we call Andromeda. We will be number 33, and we're going directly to the Andromeda galaxy. We could feel it already in the last days. I'm not sure if anybody observes like Earth magnetic fields or stuff like this. We had like a week ago, we had a strong influence from other galaxies that didn't tell us details, and that broke the Earth magnetic field down. So the magnetic field of the Earth was down for now 6 days completely. And that has to do with these immense forces of joining this concept of the 32 of Andromeda. So we don't go in exopolitics too much, but Andromeda will be important in coming events for us, and we have our roots with them too, the same as Orion. But that is now astropolitics, and that's not where we want to go today. But we will meet, let's call it a race. We can call them aliens, but they were here before us, they are here after us, and they are in all densities, what we call commonly dimensions, but we talk about densities here. So, okay, we will go there further. Can I get the next image, please? Okay, so what we see here, this is Wilhelm Reich again, but we will go more into the details. What you see is red blood cells. So this is red blood cells, what were not in the life energy accumulator, and these blood cells were in the life energy accumulator. And you can see these little dots all around here. So the question is what they are. So Wilhelm Reich studied them intensively and he called them bions. Not many scientists have documented, and we still don't do proper research about the topic for many reasons, but we don't. We have 2 institutes, one in UK and one even in US, but they all work on donation based. They are not governmentally funded or anything. So Reich discovered that when he prepared his preparations without using tincture. The tincture kills the cell. Most of the tinctures to color cells kill the cells. And he said, I cannot observe a cow when it's dead laying on the grass. So he wanted to see living tissues because he was all about the living forces, and he worked also with these organ accumulators, what we will discover. And he could then discover these beings. What was really strange about these beings is they appeared out of the nowhere, literally. They appeared out of the nowhere and they went back to the nowhere. And they behaved according to the state of the cell. That means if we had negative or bad life energies, these beings would also behave strange. because they are directly influenced by these energies. And they are in our bodies at this moment as we speak, and we will see now also later in the footage, they exist also around the Earth. Just if you can imagine how big this is the sun, if that is the Earth, you can imagine that around the Earth they are 7 miles wide. There was a gentleman called Trevor James Constable who could observe them by using a telescope and placing an ultraviolet filter on it. And we will see footage soon, but not of Trevor James Constable, but of NASA. And we will see the bions, and you tell me if it's the same or not, and who is it. Okay, I need to go back, I need to start the video. I'm better in other technologies than this one, sorry. Where did I put the mouse? Sorry. So that's just the intro, and then we will see the bions around different tissues, but also just sand. You can see here as they move. On this picture you don't see them disappearing so much or reappearing, but if you pick the right one you will see that they do that. Compared to images we will see later of the Earth, it is different because we just see from the top over it. We don't see 3D as the camera images of Earth. So it is not much what we can really see, but we can also see they have a glowing round. And can you see how they morph until they disappear? There's one left. I'm sorry that the image quality is not the best because of the light. And it's generally really, really hard to film it, and it takes really expensive equipment. We need a microscope that goes over 3,000 times. Which is pretty expensive equipment what we need, and we need the organ accumulators to prepare these samples and ultraviolet filters, of course. So, okay, that doesn't bring me what we want, but all you can see is basically here how they really, now you saw 2 morphing into 1 and out again. We know also through the works of Dr. Wilhelm Reich that the bions around the cell have a direct influence on the cell. We don't know yet completely how they coordinate our body and how much influence they really have, but we know of the medicine science that they have a huge impact. That means cancer cells, if they appear around cancer cells, one thing we always have is that they are mostly lines and they bend like they are in pain, let's call it like that. And that is exclusively when we have these negative energies, cancer cells, and it's probably that what causes the cancer. The main reason for the cancer is the environment, not the cell itself. The cell doesn't go cancerous, it's the environment. And that is an important point. Okay, at this moment in time, I think we are past the bions. Sorry, because I don't see anything anymore. So this image is, let me see. Okay, that was the bions. I'm sorry that wasn't that impressive, these images, but we go further now, and we will have a look at NASA images and what the alchemists have to tell us about the ultraviolets or the keepers of time. Okay. So this is a quote of an alchemist. 1811. Here you see the band with the spectrum of light. The ultraviolet is all in the black and is invisible to us. So this was also further back then Rosicrucians that they know that we would develop this. How did they know that, the alchemists? So that is the question. Before we had ultraviolet filters and telescopes, there were alchemistic ways of making the scene in the ultraviolet spectrum of light, and that was a well kept secret. This is obviously the Earth. We will now see the footages of NASA when they first set the first ultraviolet camera in, and later also in the space stations. Some of these images were taken off NASA SID and later deleted again. NASA never gave any explanation to it or said something to these images. So that's the camera we see. That was just later. The first missions didn't have the ultraviolet cameras. They had actually really poor cameras for what a mission cost like this. Here we see them. Remember that this is 3D and this is the Earth's surface. So on the images before, we cannot really see the movement in 3D because we look on top of them. Now, when we see Earth from the side, if we could film the sun from the side, we would probably see pretty much the same movement. So you have to imagine that these things are miles wide. Even the circles, we talk about the size of the town of Billings. And we cannot see them, we don't know what they are. So, as I just said, so some you see lines, and others you can recognize the same pulsation as the bions before around the cell. It is completely the same characteristics. So yeah, the Rosicrucians of course had a lot of the alchemistic secrets, and Rosicrucians are really important. So we wouldn't call them flying saucers in this because they are unmanned crafts and they have not much to do with any beings what are of matter. And they exist, as I said, in every density. But don't be fooled, we talk about intelligent beings here. We don't talk about natural phenomena, we talk about intelligent beings here. Because it's a timeless being, if you see all of these clusters, that could as well be one being. We will not go too deep what they are, because that will fill 3 other lectures. But, so, that is all, as I said, NASA footage. That is not any footage of somebody who photoshopped it at home. This is not NASA footage, why I picked that. But if you're interested in it, Trevor James Constable, the man we will come to later, has a whole documentary made about this and even wrote a book about etheric beings. But just the one in space he observed, he doesn't know the connection between cells, and he might, but he didn't talk about it. That's how that is. So, they say over 20 million of these crafts were observed by NASA and more. So, you can see it's not a satellite. Satellite behave different in space, asteroid behave different too. So now we have a man infiltrating the Rosicrucian order. We have that often that one order infiltrates the other for reasons of getting Soviet secret. So, and he was initiated into making this alchemistic portion to make him see the ultraviolet spectrum of light. So, how to produce it, that takes too much time, but that is not the topic. So, but he was really surprised, and all the people who are able to see that were really surprised, because everybody standing in front of you could be one of these beings and maybe not even knowing it. We don't talk about the race, what is like, we talk about the collective. There are many races in that, and it's just because they go into the highest density and they take control of time, while we call them also masters of time, that they are what they are. So this is, well, he calls them spirits, aliens, elemental spirits, of course, because it's ether. It's just purely ether. But we will now go and see of the ultraviolet range what science tells us about and how we can make these bridges. What is about the ultraviolet spectrum of light, and why are these beings living in this space? So, I need to go back to my slideshow. So, George Lakhovsky. He was a Russian scientist. He worked in Paris, sort of French-Russian man. He studied at the Sorbonne, a pretty famous science academy in France. So what is important about George Lakhovsky is he worked with cosmic radiation and the influence of humans on the planet. He was one of the first attacking this topic from a merely scientific point of view. So what did the mind find out? He found out that the communication between each and every cell in our body happens on the ultraviolet spectrum of light. There we have the ultraviolet spectrum of light again. So our cells communicate on this spectrum. So that is important already, and that is where we see these beings, what we just saw, always back, it's about communication. They speak to us the whole time, we might just not hear it. That is, or we hear it subconsciously, and sometimes we do things we don't know why we do them. And things happen to us and we don't know why. We talk over the masters of time, so they have the control, let's call it like that. So George Lakhovsky, can I get the next image please? Okay, here's a famous test he did. All of these geraniums were infected with cancer from birth, like cancer mice for this test. So just around one of these geraniums he placed a wooden stick, and around this wooden stick he placed an open circuit copper wire. That's the only difference between the others. And as you can see, it looks pretty heated to me compared to the other. And that is just a protection of this cosmic radiation, what we get attacked all the time. Well, attacked, we benefit also of it, goes everything both ways, and it comes up again. He even did a study that depending on what underground you live, you are more likely to get cancer as on other undergrounds. So that is why George Lakhovsky is important to us, the ultraviolet spectrum of light, where the cells communicate. Can I get the next image, please? Alright, this is, now we go to two French scientists, Balisial and Morel, they were called. So they were lucky because Napoleon took a lot of the treasures of the Egyptians with home, and they could delve into this. They worked with collars, collar therapy, I'm sure everybody heard about. And they tested all the influences what a certain shape has on the energy. So what is interesting to us is that this gentleman found out that the human thrives and lives on the ultraviolet spectrum of light of the sun. That is what we're living on, and they could prove it. While the plant lives on radiant green, So if one of the two scientists, Morel, he died on an overdose of radiant green. It is absolutely deadly for us in a high dose, far more than radioactivity. That's why we have a perfect symbiosis. I take the ultraviolet light, what kills the plant, and it takes the radiant green out of me. That is where we are symbiotic. But the important point is again the ultraviolet aspect of the light. Can I get the next image, please? So, okay, here we see University of Graz, Switzerland. Just a little diagram. So the extreme ultraviolet fluxes are absorbed at high altitude. That means that is the background of the universe. The ultraviolet is everywhere, and our universe is not black, but the background is violet. So for people who are sensitive to colors, if you wear violet, you are more likely to be harmonious. Because you are fitting in the background, let's call it like that. So for us, what is important is that this extreme ultraviolet light actually creates the ionosphere. It creates the ionosphere. The ionosphere is pretty high up, as we talked before. The ions, plasma ions, other ions, and a lot of other energy layers. So we go again as above, so below. That means for us that every cell has an ionosphere, because we have again the ultraviolet light hitting it. We have our layers, the energetic layers, the aura, which are also formed by the ultraviolet light, at least several layers of it. We will go into the other layers later. And then the other point, what is important, it is that actually leading to the production of atomic oxygen and ozone. Okay, so they tell us, a university, that the oxygen on atomic level gets created or more or less by ultraviolet light. What happens with this oxygen? Oxygen is highly attractive to the etheric element. The etheric element is magnetic to the oxygen. When we breathe, that's how we get the life energy into us. Because it's so. If the oxygen atom now collects a lot of this life energy, it is all of a sudden able to do something what it couldn't do before. The science calls it the anomaly of water. It creates the water bridges, what creates water, H2O. The oxygen is, that's the only reason oxygen is able to create these water bridges. It is the life energy attracted to the oxygen. And then we are, as I said before, everything comes out of the etheric principle. Here we have the scientific proof how the ether creates the water and the air element. Okay? So, I would say we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, well, this is Dr. Wilhelm Reich. Probably one of the most brilliant scientists of the last century who didn't get the recognition man deserved, for several reasons. Just to say this ahead, his works were burnt in the US. We had a book burning. It was the biggest book burning in the history of the US. And that happened not 1500, but 1900 and something. So the man was really unlucky in Germany. His books were burnt before already too. So maybe he said things he shouldn't have said. But from the start, he's an Austrian. He's a Jewish of religion. He was a student of Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. So at one moment in time, Freud came out with the theory of the libido. Freud said that the energy goes out to the libido. And Reich focused on this theory, and that is how he came to discover the life energy. But he went on it in a real scientific way, don't be fooled. That means every experiment was academically, it couldn't fail. So he first went on and he wrote a lot of books what were more political and more into the psychology, but later he went on and went practical with the life energy, and that is the part what interests us today, because our topic is the Etheric Wands. So can I get the next image? So we go on with Dr. Reich's orgone accumulator. Okay, these boxes he used to sit people in and cure cancer actually, and he was pretty successful with that. That brought him in a lot of trouble with the FDA and other agencies, mainly the atomic agency was just brought out the chemotherapy at that time. I'm not saying that these boxes are a wonder work and it really cures cancer. In his works and analysis he said he was able to cure the tumors, but the people were not healed. So we see that a lot today with people who have cancer. It's gone, but it comes back. And that is what didn't leave this good man quiet, and he then developed the orgonomy, how we call it. Orgonomy is a therapy where we push, similar to Reiki, where we push the energies down to the libido, and if we succeed, let's say the people will have a massive muscle decramp. Because what happens is, people who have traumas, according to Reich, mostly of sexual nature, that can be a lot of things, and they don't solve it. What happens is that these muscles, they cannot, they contract the whole time. You see it in some people's faces when you go around, that their expression is weird. Even with a lot of criminals, this psychopathic look, that has to do something with what Reich called the emotional armory, which goes in rings all over the body. And you see shallow breathing, you see how these people hold themselves, and we have actually a lot of people in this state in the society we are today. So he was able then, when he could solve it, this blockage, this energetic blockage, to really cure the people of the cancer. So what is this box is what we see here. This is what he called an orgone accumulator. We call it orgone life energy etheric accumulator. So what we see here, the inside is a metallic layer, and then behind, in this case it's probably sheep wool, an organic material, again alternating metal layer and so forth and so forth. the outside is organic. So why is that? So Wilhelm Reich found out in his studies that metal attracts the life energy and repulses it immediately. While the organic material, as our body store the life energy, we can even be oversaturated. But at a certain time, we will just give it off because we cannot take anymore. So with these accumulators, that is a scientific way of accumulating the life energy in this box and making it denser as outside of the box. So what Reich said too, etheric potential or overall potential in his word flows from a weaker to a stronger source. That means the organic or the etheric load inside is pretty strong. If you see the person in now what has cancer, that means they have dead organ radiation, or Reich called it, or dead life energy in them. But the dead life energy will get pushed out of them, literally. And that is what dissolves the tumors, because we have seen this bio. This the influence of the bio is what makes the cells mutating, how he called it. It's a mutation. And don't be fooled, we all have cancer cells in our body permanently. It is a permanent state, aside if we really manage to keep that radiation away, which is pretty hard because we are surrounded by a lot of radiation which are not good for us. So an advice, if you can take the phones and these things further away from you, especially for your sleep and all of that, you do good, because this radiation was never tested before released to mankind. Just a side topic. Can I get the next image, please? So we go to our first wands. This is actually an artistical drawing. What we see there is a cloudbuster. What is a cloudbuster? Anybody an idea? That is a machine to make, create, weather, dissolve, create storms. And it might sound like it comes of the land of the legend, but it is not, it works. I can assure you, I had cloudbusters. It is not just pointing them at the sky. There's a complicated science behind. You need to study weathers and you need to be extremely responsible what you do. So the cloudbuster is pretty much the strongest variation we have of this. I brought us something like that here too. And if somebody is interested more in weather science and in proofs, we can give it to them. We have currently my friend Harry Rhodes. He has a team of actively deploying 300 people around the world, and we're getting more. So it is coordinated work. We cannot do what we want in this. This is serious science, but it works. Wilhelm Reich himself, we green deserts with this. So we have this technology, and he was pretty much the pioneer. He came to it by accident. He had his research center in Maine, Oregon. No, Maine, well, I'm not sure what the place was, but anyways, he was trying to build from the lake a water system to the main house, and somehow these tubes stuck into the water by some of the workers. And Reich, scientists observing, and he saw the clouds form over that. And his curiosity, his curious nature, but this is a scientist, brought him to investigate this further, and he found out this phenomena again, that the life energy goes from a weak source to a strong source. So what we have here is these tubes. They can go out. We will see more of them. These are pipes that are insulated by metal again, and then an organic layer to not get zapped by that overall energy. And inside there, or they go into water. That's the main idea. That is the simple thing. Of course, we will not reveal everything here. Somebody who is seriously interested in that science, we will not make secret, but we complicate it too much if we go too much into details here now. Okay, just the next image, please. So here we see Wilhelm Reich himself in action and two of his workers. And here you see the tubes are pretty long on this one. So that is a massive cloudbuster. That is a massive cloudbuster, and you will have massive impact with these things. You can literally turn the jet stream with that. I know it because we did it several times. What we will come to next now. So, this cloudbuster and this here, they are etheric wands in the strictest sense of the word, because they work with ether, and you see the nature of the wand. They are just, their main purpose is healing, harmonizing the atmosphere. Since the team of Harry has deployed, NASA even launched a news that our sky became bluer again. The background color of the sky is not an accident. If we go higher in vibration, the color of the sky will change too. Just that we know that. So, these etheric deployments, what they do mainly, aside from controlling or helping cleaning the weather of some effects that are being done, some people manipulate the weather, not just these people, and we can pretty much neutralize whatever they do with that. And let's say we had a terrible drought in California and it will still last without the works of this team. So, can I get the next image, please? We go and continue in this. So this man was Trevor James Constable, a man from New Zealand who was in the New Zealand Army, and he picked up on Roy's works at one moment, and he was scientifically a strong person, of course, and he redeveloped Cloudbuster. What you see here is called a translator. Translator because it can go both ways. That means it can transform the dead organ radiation to live energy and the other way around, what the Cloudbuster cannot do in the same manner. It can do it, but it's far more complicated to switch. Okay, so the translator, what you see here, works best on a moving vehicle. So he worked with them on yachts, he worked with them on an airplane, as you can see. You can see videos of him deploying in Asia. There was prediction absolute drought. He flies with the plane over and the translator on, and shortly after, really shortly after, we had massive rainfalls, massive rainfalls. So it defeats the laws of physics, but just because we don't include the etheric element. Not because it really violates any law, otherwise it wouldn't work. Laws are, the Hermetic laws you will not violate. Some academic laws you will violate because they are not made to help us but also control us in a certain sense. Okay? So we go to our next video. I asked Harry, who builds this and who is side of the team, to give me a bit of footage of the Cloudbusters and the works he did. It will be a video of around 10 minutes and I will talk a bit about that then. Let's see. Okay, sorry. So that's Harry. I'm not sure how good we will hear him, but I will explain anyways.
This is one from Norway, not one of my buildings, but yes, incredible pieces of equipment. And what you will see are pieces of equipment which actually heal the weather and make incredible changes, which the mind refuses to first accept. But here's some examples of this gentleman, Trevor James Constable, and also Willem Reich. These pieces of equipment have been developed as a result, and mainly of their efforts from the past. Willem Reich, who was murdered eventually by the CIA. And this is Trevor James Constable, who developed the translator, which I've taken on and perfected, made smaller. It's been developed initially by Trevor by taking Willem Reich's equipment and making it even smaller and attaching it to aircraft and making massive changes to the weather, even stopping droughts, as we'll see. Here's a quick insight into some of the history of various Cloudbusters which have been put together based on this technology that these two gentlemen actually progressed. This is the typical Willem Reich Cloudbuster with multiple pipes that then go into a water chamber to develop an etheric flow.
So heavy breathing.
The size of the equipment can range from as low as 6 inches, which are used on drones, and as long as 12 feet, as shown here. There's a globus from the background. This is one of the translators, insulated on the outside. It has a main barrel with a second tube inside, with a set of mirrors and other organic and metallic layers. This particular one can be set in an inclination or a declination, and believe it or not, these actually go through the earth, absolutely. And that's how we manage to heal the weather even from thousands of miles away. This on the back is a plenum chamber to take a spray of water. It's not always necessary, but the spray of water actually increases the etheric potential. In other words, it gets a faster reaction with the target, depending whether we're deploying a low potential, which is a low etheric charge, or a high etheric charge. Here's a typical example of a deployment over the United Kingdom. Different people deploy, given the degrees, and...
Okay. I stopped at this point, so that is just to see a bit of Harry's work, and here we see that when we work in a team, it is a precise science. It is not something what we just do like that. Because there were several big storms hitting the UK, and they were pretty much all neutralized, at least the damages. There were a lot of hurricanes, and we could not stop them all. It always depends how early you hit a hurricane or not. But this is not our main topic. That is just to say this is possible. I witnessed it, and whoever is interested, I can, of course, we can do demonstrations, and if somebody is interested in working in that field, I can put together with Harry, of course. But it is time consuming, and there's a lot of knowledge what needs to be learned to really do this without putting people into danger. Because you can create tornadoes and you can create droughts. We had the situation of a person leaving one just out, not in our group, but of Etheric people, and he caused a horrible drought in Australia, and later another guy flooded the place. So it is not a toy. It is not a toy at all, but it works. There's so much to that part of the cloud busting etheric wands. These are etheric wands in the strictest sense. We will see in the second part now why we say that they are etheric wands. But for now, we just make it now short. We have different forms of these live energy accumulators. I brought you some with. I'm not sure if anybody saw these before. No? Okay. What they are, this is resin orgone. Resin, it is a resin matrix, the same what you build boats with or repair them. And you have a crystal here, this one has a top crystal. They are both really old, and they travel around the world, so they look like this for a reason. And you can see the mountain crystal here has grown, so it bursted through the top of the crystal. What is important is with this, you need a lot of metal. Most people don't put enough metal in. It doesn't look pretty if it looks like this, but it works better. So this is based on the works of a certain Don Craft. So this is crystal combined, but it's the same technology as all what we just saw. So I would say we go and make the break, but before we go into the break, just we have for the live energy accumulation, we have water there. It's red lodge, and it was put it into this accumulator and charged for 2 days. So I did just open the bottle here. I did not manipulate the water in any other way as putting it into this live energy accumulator. Andy saw it, and William saw it also, that I opened the bottle just here. So if you like to test the water, if you know maybe what you would see, it tastes different, it is finer in texture, and it is completely loaded, the aspect what we forget in water science. So I would invite you to have a glass in our little break, and then we will continue with the second part with the wands.